Good morning. I will read your bio real quick, Secretary, and we'll pass it over to you then, if that's all right. For everyone out there who's not from Pennsylvania, and we do have a few people from Pennsylvania and out from other states and whatnot. Patrick McDonnell has served as the Secretary of the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection since being nominated by Governor Tom Wolf in 2016. Patrick's career with DEP spans several decades, beginning in 1998. Prior to becoming secretary, he served as the department's director of policy. He also ran the state energy office and coordinating renewable energy and energy efficiency issues. McDonnell previously served as DEP's deputy secretary for administration, overseeing the agency's budget, human resources, information technology programs, etc. He spent 3 years as executive policy manager for the former Public Utility Commissioner Pamela Whitmer. He served several roles with the Environmental Council of the States, including treasurer, vice president, and vice chair of the Innovation and Productivity Committee. He's a native of Philadelphia. Secretary McDonnell received his master's degree in political science from Lehigh University and his bachelor's degree from DeSales University. And I believe that had a different name. It was St. Francis College or
it was
something.
Allentown College of St. Francis DeSales.
Allentown College. My brother and sister had gone there back in the 80s, and I saw that DeSales and I said, I know that one. Okay, and he lives in Harrisburg with his wife Colleen and their 4 children. So without any further delay, Secretary, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for that introduction, Andy, and great to be with you all this morning. As I said, I'm Pat McDonnell. I'm Secretary here at Department of Environmental Protection. And just, really want to, thank you for having me today and allowing me to speak at the 23rd Abandoned Mine Reclamation Conference. And really want to thank you for all of the work you're doing on what's a significant environmental issue here within the Commonwealth. Want to spend a couple minutes today just talking to you about the benefits of reauthorizing the federal AML program and fee collection. The achievements and milestones of that program and the work that we still need to do. As you're probably aware, throughout Pennsylvania, abandoned mine lands and acid mine drainage remain threats to our safety. In 43 out of our 67 counties, we see impacts from AML sites and even more impacts beyond the site itself. Coal mining activity that occurred before passing the Surface Mining, Coal and Reclamation Act in 1977 resulted in high priority problems that still exist for our abandoned mine lands. Health and safety hazards, environmental degradation, diminished economic opportunities are all problems addressed by our department's Bureau of Abandoned Mine Reclamation through the Federal Abandoned Mine Lands Program. The AML program provides economic, environmental, public health, and public safety benefits to Pennsylvanians, which is why it's important to improve and continue these programs and policies. Again, particularly in a state like Pennsylvania, where we still continue to see significant impacts. The United States Senate passed the bipartisan infrastructure bill, the BIF, as some have referred to it. That bill includes reauthorization and new funding for the AML program. If the House votes to pass the BIF, Pennsylvania will benefit from approximately $254 million of AML and AMD funding annually for the next 15 years. And an additional estimated $20 to $25 million will be added from fee collection, which is currently expired. Without that reauthorization, the AML program will end following distribution of all of the funds in the AML trust fund. And that also means smaller grants after 2022 for the next 10 to 12 years. The AML grants are especially needed to address our AML problems and emergencies. We have approximately 77 emergencies every year that are addressed through DEP's Bureau of Abandoned Mine Reclamation, and that produces an average construction cost of almost $4 million each year. The AML program has shown several recent accomplishments through projects proving its benefits. The program achieved the startup of the Gladden AMD treatment plant, which caused almost immediate water quality improvement in Miller's Run. And we even held a plant dedication event in April. I got to be there for that ribbon cutting and got to see firsthand the success that that facility has achieved. Additionally, AML and AMD projects in Bennett Branch, Cinnamahoning Creek watershed resulted in over 30 miles of stream being delisted on the Impaired Waters Report. Now, despite these milestones, our work is not done. There are still over 5,000 streams in Pennsylvania degraded by abandoned mine drainage, and over 287,000 acres of land are still in need of reclamation. Landowners are encouraged to consider as part of their reclamation projects, including renewable energy projects on reclaimed AML lands. Solar or wind, if appropriate, can turn a reclaimed AML site into a possible income source for the property owner and a source of clean, renewable electricity for all of us. To date, we've started to see a small number of renewable energy projects in preliminary stages on reclaimed mine land. And we know that these projects will improve local economies and create jobs. And using AML for these projects prevents the loss of farmland and forest land to solar projects. With your partnerships, we are one step closer to achieving AML reclamation and eliminating AMD. The only way we're going to get there is one project at a time. The only way we're going to get there is talking to one another, learning from one another, listening to one another. So holding events such as the one today allows us to make sure we're sharing technology, knowledge, best practices, and lessons to work toward giving Pennsylvanians that best quality of life. I'm very, very excited for the conference, albeit virtually here today. Hope you all have a great time. Listen, learn, and really apply it for the benefit of all Pennsylvanians. And with that, thank you for your time, and I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you very much. And does anyone have a question? Please put it in Q&A or chat. And Ann and Mike, if you have anything in the embedded Zoom player that comes up, please let me know. I don't see anything at this point. We have about 12 minutes left on the time frame. So if anyone has a question, please take the time, put it in chat or Q&A. Secretary McDonald, I have something to say. It's not a question, it's a comment. And I have to give the DEP a lot of credit. Your staff has done a wonderful job throughout COVID. And I think that is a huge challenge for all of us. As you see, we are virtual this year. We'd rather be in person. But how DEP staff has overcome that challenge by working remotely and all the other things that they do has just been wonderful. And I have not seen any difficulties from my end that tells me that things are in trouble. Everything's running wonderfully, and we're very grateful for that. Your staff has done a good job.
No, thank you very much for that. The way, in particular, obviously, none of us planned to be working remotely for a year. And now being back in kind of a hybrid setup, the way I've kind of described it to staff is prior to COVID, we had the worst of being in person. During COVID, we had the worst of being at home. So now the challenge is really how we grab the best of both. How do we grab everything we learned during COVID, everything we're all the best of everything we were already doing, and take best advantage of a number of new electronic tools, a number of new ways of working and collaborating together to make sure we're continuing to drive forward the mission.
And one other thing with regard to the SMACRA reauthorization. Right now, we're in a situation where it's in the House of Representatives. We do not have a reauthorized Surface Mining Control and Reclamation Act, and that is really hugely important to the Bureau of Abandoned Mine Reclamation and to DEP and to the state of Pennsylvania and to the rest of us who are working in the community. What can our people do at this point to try to make their ideas known that needs to go forward?
Well, I mean, the thing I say, and it's on this issue or any other issue, is in particular making sure that your elected representatives know and understand your perspective, whatever that is, in terms of SMACRA reauthorization or anything else. So, emails and letters are good, phone calls are great. And I can attest to the fact, I've been in meetings, not necessarily on this topic, but on others where I've had legislators tell me, I don't hear from my constituents on this. I don't hear from them that this is a priority. So, I have every confidence this is a priority for our congressional delegation, but it never hurts to make sure we're reinforcing and emphasizing that point if that's your perspective.
Thank you very much. Mike or Ann, do you have any additional comments or questions in the Zoom player chat?
Roger Bowman had a question that he raised his hand to talk. So you'll need to unmute yourself, Roger. Still can't hear you.
I'm sorry, sir.
There you are.
I did that by accident. I don't have anything for.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that.
Okay. So there's a question here from Janie. What's the possibility of establishing a long-term fund for the operation and maintenance of existing treatment systems?
That's one of those that's always been a challenge for us in terms of making sure we have the dollars available to do that. I know it's something staff has been actively working on. We've had some success in creating specific kind of trust funds for specific projects and things like that. But in particular, for some of the older growing greener passive treatment kind of systems, I know that's been a challenge. We've tried to build in planning around O&M on some of those projects going forward, but particularly for some of the older projects, larger projects, projects where, as we see now, there's increased cost just to do a project based on what's going on in the economy. All of those things have definitely put pressure on our programs and processes. So I can't say I have a great answer or silver bullet on that one, but it's definitely something that I know that the program has been actively trying to figure ways through.
Good. I think that we need to wrap up and we need to kind of move on to the next session. Andy, do you want to?
All right. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Secretary McDonald, and thank you all for joining us for the welcome and the plenary session. And what we will do now is we will end this particular transmission. You'll go back to the agenda. Correct me if I'm wrong. Go back to the agenda and you'll click on the next person who will be speaking, and that will be
Senator Yaw.
Senator Yaw, correct?
And that is the
and click on
Pennsylvania
that
Senate
session.
bill.
You'll rejoin a Zoom player. Correct. So we'll end this session. Thank you all very much.